At the start of the story, we see a boy named Kelvin. Kelvin wasn't really into talking much or socializing with people. He preferred reading books and studying. Meanwhile, his dad and brother used to be wrestling champions back in their day. Now, he lived alone at home with his mom, Sharon. When he was little, his dad died in an accident. Ever since, the whole family kind of fell apart. His older brother, Mike, now worked in another city. Sharon and Mike didn't really get along well. One day, Kelvin went to the lake. Kelvin was sitting nearby trying to fix the pump for his fish farm. Just then, a kid from their school, Billy, showed up and started bothering him for no reason. Kelvin stood up for himself and tried to defend himself. That made Billy even angrier. He pushed Kelvin hard and walked away. Kelvin sat on the ground, checking his injury. Suddenly, an old fisherman named Red came over. He praised Kelvin for his courage and told him to always believe in himself and stand up against what's wrong. Later, Kelvin went home. He came back and cleaned his wounds. Whenever Kelvin felt down, he would take out a memory box and sit with it. That day, he did the exact same thing. The box had old photos of his father and the accident report too. Looking at all of it, he started thinking that if his dad were alive, maybe his life would be different. Just then, Sharon came home. Kelvin quickly closed the box and ran to see his mom. He didn't want her to see his pain. As soon as Sharon hugged him, she noticed his wound and got scared. But Kelvin said it was nothing, just hit a tree. For the next few days, he kept thinking more and more about his dad and brother. He missed them even more. After a lot of thought, he found a way: wrestling. He felt that through wrestling, he could feel closer to both his dad and brother, but he knew his mom, Sharon, hated wrestling, so he kept it a secret from her. For the next few weeks after school, Kelvin would say there were some extra activities and head to the school gym, but he didn't join the team right away. At first, he just quietly sat and watched the practice. After a few days, Kelvin decided it was time to stop just watching and start practicing himself. But the coach made Billy his practice partner and told him to take it easy with the new guy. Billy didn't listen to the coach though. He beat Kelvin up badly. The coach had to step in and break it up. That night at dinner, Kelvin couldn't lie anymore. He told Sharon that he'd started wrestling too, and now he was working on his weight. He would try to keep it at 135 pounds. She understood that Kelvin wanted to connect with his dad and brother through wrestling. But after losing her husband and eldest son, she had grown to hate wrestling. She made it very clear that she wouldn't support him in all this. She didn't want him to waste his time learning that pointless sport. Anyway, over the next few days, Kelvin quietly started looking for his brother Mike's address. Once he found it, he decided to go meet his brother himself. Kelvin told his mom that he'd stay at Donald's place overnight. His mom agreed. Kelvin left the house, but actually he didn't go to Donald's place. He just caught a bus and went to the nearby town. Sitting on the bus, 1,000 questions were running through Kelvin's mind. How would it feel to meet his older brother Mike after so many years? Would Mike be happy to see him or surprised? Kelvin was lost in these thoughts when the bus stop came up. Now there was no time to think. He got off the bus and started looking for Mike's house in the nearby streets. After a little while, he found it. Kelvin knocked on the door. Mike's girlfriend opened it. Kelvin slowly stepped inside the house. As soon as Mike saw him, he was definitely surprised, but that was about it. There was no happiness or warmth on his face. It was like seeing just any regular guy he meets every day. He straightforwardly asked, "What are you doing here?" Kelvin could feel the distance between them, but he didn't get angry or sad. He told himself that maybe it wasn't easy for Mike to suddenly meet after all these years either. For a while, there was a quiet pause between them. Then, gathering his courage, Kelvin said, "I joined the school wrestling team." He decided to go for it. He needed your help with it. He said that if you trained him, maybe he could do better. But Mike straight up said he was swamped with work. He's not free. Hearing that broke Kevin's heart. Still, he pulled himself together. He figured maybe his brother really was busy. He quietly accepted it. but deep down he still hoped their relationship might improve. Now Kevin quietly slipped out of the house and started walking back home. Meanwhile, Mike was inside. He was shattered. As soon as Kelvin left, Mike sat down on the couch. He sat there quietly for hours, thinking about the choices he'd made in his life. The next day, Sharon went to Kelvin's school and met with his coach. With a heavy heart, she said, "I've already lost one of my sons to this sport. I don't want the same to happen again." The coach understood Sharon's pain, but said that kicking Kelvin off the team wouldn't be the right move. He promised he'd look out for Kelvin. Meanwhile, after talking with his older brother Mike, Kelvin, he was feeling really down. At school, Kelvin didn't have many friends. He only talked to two people, his childhood friend Luna, who lived next door, and a straightforward classmate named Donald. A few days later, during the school wrestling competition, a 135-pound player from Riverdale got injured and had to drop out. Kelvin had to step in immediately to take his place. Hearing this, Kelvin freaked out. He quickly called Mike, but his girlfriend answered the phone. Kelvin told her to make sure Mike knew he had a match on Friday. Kelvin waited anxiously all week. He kept hoping Mike would talk to him. But Friday came quickly, and there was no response from Mike. When it was game time on Friday, Kelvin looked at the player standing in front of him, and his confidence wavered with fear. He thought maybe he had made the wrong decision. Meanwhile, Sharon, who had initially been against Kelvin's decision, still came to school to support her son. On the way, she noticed the school's wall of fame, where trophies with her son's and husband's names were displayed. Sharon stood there for a while, lost in memories of her eldest son. "I got lost." During the match, what Kelvin feared actually happened. His rival was way stronger than him. Sharon and Luna watched all this with fear. In the end, Kelvin lost. After this defeat, Kelvin realized how tough wrestling really is. He thought maybe he should just quit, but their team had only one player in this weight category, so he couldn't back down now. In the next few matches, Kelvin kept losing and had to face a lot of embarrassment in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Mike lost his job, and was just like that. He was wandering around aimlessly. One day, just killing time, he went into a small bar. There, a guy started picking a fight with him for no reason and even hit him. Mike defended himself, but the cops didn't listen to him. Instead, they arrested Mike and threw him in jail. Meanwhile, Kelvin was stressed out about his preparations. After school, Kelvin and Donald ran into Billy. In front of everyone, Billy made fun of Kelvin's brother Mike and showed a newspaper with the news of Mike's arrest. Seeing that, Kelvin got really upset. It's done. He went back to the lake and met Red again. Red told him, "I can say for sure she needs you." Hearing this, Kelvin decided to go there. The next morning, he got up early, went to Luna's house, and took her scooter. He lied to his mom, saying he had to go to school early that day. Then he went straight to the court. In court, Mike's lawyer told the judge that he should be released on bail. Just as the judge was about to announce the decision, Kevin stood up and said, "Your Honor, I'm Mike's younger brother. Today might leave my brother alone. We won't ever show up in your court again. Promise." Kelvin's words hit Mike right in the heart. After the court, the two brothers went home together. After that meeting, Mike decided he would teach Kelvin wrestling. Meanwhile, at home, Sharon was worried all day because she hadn't heard from Kelvin. She went to school, but he wasn't there either. Then she asked Luna, but she didn't know anything. Later, when Kelvin came back home, he lied to his mom, saying he had been with his friends and went straight to his room. He left. During that time, Kelvin didn't go to school practice for several weeks. When he finally came back, the coach gave him a strict warning. "Because of you, we missed a match. Mess up again and you're out of the team." The truth was, Kelvin had been practicing with his brother Mike. They used to practice together every day. Gradually, the distance between them started to fade. The two brothers began to understand each other better and spent more time together. Kelvin listened carefully to everything Mike said and started learning wrestling with full dedication. When Kelvin, seeing that Mike still hadn't found a job, he tried to help his brother find one too. Mike was really happy about that. The two brothers were closer than ever before. After some time, the next match was coming up. Kelvin wanted Mike to watch his fight. He invited him, but Mike hesitated and said, "I'm not ready to face school or my family right now, man." He was scared people would ask him what he'd been doing all these years, and he didn't have a good answer. On the day of the match, Kelvin looked straight into his rival's eyes. He looked straight ahead. This time, his courage wasn't as weak as before. Then he went to a quiet corner, listened to his favorite music, and got himself ready. Meanwhile, Donald, Luna, and Sharon were holding their breath waiting for him, and then the match began. This time, Kelvin was much stronger. During the fight, he used everything he had learned from his big brother. His fear was under control this time. He played carefully and won with full confidence. No one knew that Mike had quietly come to the school. He didn't go straight inside. He was standing by the wall, watching the match from a distance. As soon as he saw Kelvin win, his face lit up with pride. Meanwhile, Red was quietly sitting in the crowd, happy about Kelvin's victory too. Mike didn't want anyone to see him, so he left before the match ended. But as he walked through the school corridors, memories of his old days came flooding back. The same place where he'd once done some really big things. Over the next few weeks, Kelvin kept winning match after match. Every time he won, Mike he used to come watch him from somewhere. When Mike saw that Kelvin was playing really well, he thought this guy could do something big. One day, just jokingly, Kelvin asked, "Are you gonna teach me the reverse cradle move now?" Mike immediately said no, because that move is pretty risky. A few days later, the school dance function was coming up. All the kids were busy practicing, and Luna asked Kelvin if he'd go with her. Kelvin happily said yes. A few days after that, Mike introduced Kelvin to another fighter named Theo. He even joined their training sessions. For the next few weeks, Kelvin worked even harder. He took good care of his diet. Gradually, you could see clear changes in his body. He got stronger. On the day of the dance, Sharon invited Luna over. Actually, Luna's mom wasn't around. She lived at home with her dad and 4 brothers. That's why Sharon helped her get ready. Meanwhile, Mike was really happy seeing his brother's hard work. He finally decided, "You're ready now. I'll teach you the reverse cradle." Kelvin was super excited. Done. The two brothers practiced that move for hours. That night, Kelvin and Luna went to a dance. They were both happy and having a great time. Then a guy named Billy showed up and started being rude to Luna. Luna tried to defend herself, but Kelvin stepped in and easily took Billy down. Things had changed now. Kelvin was stronger than Billy. After the dance, Kelvin and Luna stepped out of school and started walking around the city streets, chatting. Kelvin promised her, "I'll always stand by you. I'll stay." After that night, the two got a lot closer. Meanwhile, after working hard for weeks, Mike decided to chill at a bar. He ordered a drink but immediately remembered what happened last time. His brother had even promised the judge on his behalf. So, without drinking, he paid and left. As soon as he stepped outside, some guys surrounded him. They were the same people he'd fought with before. Mike tried to talk calmly, but they didn't listen. In the end, Mike had to defend himself. They had to fight. He beat up a few guys, but in the end, he himself passed out. The next evening, when Kelvin went for training, Mike wasn't there. Kelvin thought maybe he was busy with something. So he trained alone for a few hours and then came back home. As soon as Kelvin stepped inside, he suddenly stopped. He heard his mom talking to Mike on the phone. Turns out the cops had caught Mike fighting again. A fight broke out at home. Sharon felt like this was just Mike's usual behavior. The argument got worse, and Kelvin once again had to deal with his brothers. He had to stand up for it. He told his mom that Mike would never betray him. He must have been framed. He hasn't touched a drop of alcohol in the past month. Then Kelvin revealed another truth, that he's only winning those matches because of Mike. Hearing this, Sharon was shocked. Kelvin said loudly. "He's my brother. I have the right to know my brother. What are you afraid of, Mom?" Meanwhile, Mike was sitting in jail, cursing his luck. He couldn't understand why troubles kept coming into his life. A little later, Kelvin, she thought calmly. She felt that all the pain and anger of her family was tied to that old accident. Sharon got emotional as soon as she heard the name of her late husband, Mac. But she gathered her courage and started telling Kelvin the truth. She explained that Mac was not only Mike's trainer but also his closest companion. They did everything together. Wrestling was the biggest part of their lives. Then, about 10 years ago, Mike had an important match coming up. When they got to the next town and saw their opponent, they figured out how he fought. Mac didn't want to go at first. Sharon also said no. It was snowing outside and the road wasn't safe. But still, Mac and Mike took the car and left. On the way, the car went out of control and crashed. Mike managed to jump out and survive, but Mac died inside the car. When Kevin heard this, he stayed silent. He thought about how huge the guilt must be eating Mike up inside. He had felt his mom's pain all these years, but what broke his heart the most was Mike's pain. Now he finally understood. Why is his brother so empty inside and so quiet? A few days later, Kelvin went with his team to the district-level tournament. His friends Donald and Luna were there too, sitting in the stands cheering him on. Kelvin won every match one by one and made it to the semifinals. But he wasn't happy. All he could think about was what might have happened to Mike. That's why he left his friends there and went back home. Meanwhile, Sharon had also made a big decision. He decided that Mike must be telling the truth. He must have been there. That's why he looked for witnesses at the bar and talked to them. He found out that Mike hadn't even been drinking that night. The people who attacked him had set him up. Then Sharon spoke with the DA's office and the parole officer and got a deal arranged for Mike. After that, Sharon went to jail and met Mike. She said, "I want my son back, but I don't know how." Meanwhile, Kelvin didn't celebrate even after making it to the semifinals in the tournament. Over at Sharon's place, she got Mike out of jail and took him home. The house felt cold, empty, and sad inside. Seeing this, Sharon's heart broke. He realized how many years Mike had been punishing himself. That's when Sharon understood that Kelvin always just wanted to keep their family together. Thinking this, Sharon spoke his heart out to Mike for the first time. Mike listened to every word carefully. Sharon's heart swelled with emotion and he hugged his son. After that terrible accident, it was the first time the mother and son embraced each other with love. That night, Kelvin came straight to Sharon after returning home. He asked, "What happened with Mike's case?" When Sharon told him Mike was cleared, Kelvin sighed in relief. Kelvin was super happy. Then he told everyone the news. "Mom, I won. I beat them all." Sharon also told him, "Great job, son. Keep wrestling." The next day was the final round. The gym was loud and buzzing with excitement. As usual, Kelvin went to a quiet corner to mentally prepare himself before the match. But this time, something felt different. In that moment, he realized he wasn't fighting just for wrestling. His real battle was to bring his family back together. He felt like maybe this fight he might lose. He noticed that neither his mom nor Mike was there. So who am I even fighting for? Confused, Kelvin started to leave the arena. That's when he ran into Red. Red showed up right when Kelvin needed support the most. Seeing Red, Kelvin decided to fight the match. He went to the bathroom, washed his face, wiped away his tears, and got back on the mat. Before stepping onto the mat, Kelvin looked up at the stands. He saw his mom sitting there with his friends. That gave him a bit of peace, but Mike still wasn't there. His mind was racing with a million thoughts. He asked, "Where is he, man? How could he miss the biggest match of my life? Did the past few weeks mean nothing?" Thinking all this, Kelvin got lost in the game. In the beginning, he took a lot of hits. He was just waiting for the match to end. Then he saw Mike coming into the gym. Mike proudly sat in the stands wearing their school jersey. Seeing this, a new energy sparked inside Kelvin. He immediately turned the game around. Showing off his amazing skills, he won the match. Mike quickly came over to Kelvin and said, "Just keep your focus and give it everything you've got. This is the biggest match of your life." The final was about to start in just a few minutes, so Mike stepped aside, leaving him alone so Kelvin could get into the zone by listening to his music. As soon as the final match began, Kelvin made a powerful entrance. The gym immediately got super energetic. Everyone's eyes were on him. Just as Kelvin was about to step onto the mat, he noticed from afar that Mike was talking to an old man. The man was Red. Kelvin was shocked. He wondered, how does my brother even know Red? Then suddenly he realized the truth. Red was actually his dad's coach. Now all the pieces started falling into place in his mind. When the final match began, Mike went and sat next to the coach. Just then, the announcement system called out Mike's name, saying, "Our school's undisputed champion is right here with us today." As soon as the match started, Kelvin gave it his all. Everyone was holding their breath, watching every move. The gym was filled with tension. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. With some incredible moves, the opponent won the match, which meant that Kelvin lost. But for Kelvin, the truth was totally different. He had already won because now his family was back together. He immediately went to Mike and thanked him for teaching him. Then he went to Sharon and Luna and thanked them too for always standing by him. In that moment, he realized that winning isn't about the result. The journey you take is everything. A little later, Mike sat down with his family in the stands. Suddenly, the whole crowd stood up. Everyone gave him a standing ovation. Seeing so much respect for himself, Mike got emotional like a kid. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Catch you in the next video.